For sure, for sure. So my name is Deprecia Sutter, all the way from Oklahoma City. So one thing, just so you guys know a little bit about me, I am my own, once again, I'm an entrepreneur as well. I am 28 years old, starting Tuesday. So happy birthday to me. Happy early birthday. And so one thing about it is I went through school. I have a high school degree. I went all the way to college and I wanted to be an occupational therapist. That was the main thing I wanted to do. But one thing about it is, we all have these visions and we have these goals, but unfortunately, just with the lack of education or just not knowing where to move, sometimes we stop ourselves before actually taking a route that is really great for us. And so I was a GM of multiple restaurants, 10 restaurants and 2 bars, and I had a great time and I learned a lot. But the thing is what really got me on the path that I am now was because one thing I yearned was time freedom. And I also, I'm gonna be transparent with you guys. I have a sick mother. And so it got to the point that I had to work around my job versus my job working around me. Yeah. And my mom, just very short, she had cancer when she was 22. From there, she had a heart attack. We lived in the hospital. She had a stroke where she couldn't walk, talk, move. And it got to the point that unfortunately I had to choose my job over her because I still had to pay my bills, And I'm not saying entrepreneurship isn't hard, but those are times I couldn't get back. So one thing is I really focused on my why and I focused on what I needed. And like I said, I'm gonna be real honest with you guys. Financial literacy was something I didn't have. And it's something I dug in deeper because not only did the world need, I needed it.
Yeah, and that's a great lead in because almost everybody that we've had, and we've had guests from all over the country, they've all said one of the biggest misconceptions is that people think owning a business is easy. And I always use the example, as big a fan as I am of her music, Jasmine Sullivan, her song "The Other Side" talks about, I'm going to move to Atlanta and start a business, like it's just something you just wake up to. And I'm just a small beef with her because I'm still a huge fan, but that's not something that young people should think is reality, because it's not. Because not only the time investment, but the money investment starting out is incredible.
Mm-hmm. For sure, for sure. I know with me, an opportunity came to me. And one thing I'll say about opportunities don't just go away, they go to the next person. Yep. And maybe that route was for you at the moment, maybe it wasn't. But if you don't try it, you never know. And so when it comes to investments, now my route, I took a different route than everybody else because I did leave my job cold turkey. I do not believe that should be everyone's route because at the end of the day, you still got to invest in what you have, and it may be you selling something and maybe you borrowing money. It could be anything. But the thing is I went into it a different route. I took the hard route. I definitely did. But every little thing I do, I definitely praise myself. But I keep the wheels turning. I keep moving forward. And just like you said, it's not easy, but everything comes with a price. I mean, how many people here want a nice car, want a nice house, see people on social media and see them traveling and them doing everything that they want or you ever dreamed of doing? It came at a price. Everything came at a price. And the thing is, you got to be okay with failing forward. You're going to fail, but that doesn't mean you to stop and not keep going. The people that are where they are at is because they stop quitting. That's the thing. Stop quitting. Just continue going forward and really enjoy the process and know that it is one.
Absolutely. Now, and you are correct. You are a very rare exception, especially the guests we've had, because almost every entrepreneur we've had is at least still a part-time employee or started out as remaining a part-time employee or even a full-time employee or running a business. So that is extremely difficult. That is even more commendable in itself. Now, some of the things we've talked about in the class here is, I ask everybody the same thing. One of the biggest mistakes that I see a lot of young business owners make, especially young Black business owners, is they don't charge enough. It is absolutely ridiculous because they're thinking the 18, 17, 18-year-old mindset of, oh, I couldn't afford this, instead of dreaming bigger and say, look, who do I want to reach that can afford it? So how do you determine how you price something in order to get to that level you want to be?
Well, number one, it's always okay to give value. It's always okay to give value, because I'll tell you, we educate kids when it comes to financial literacy, but I don't make money from those kids, but I know I'm putting my foot on this earth and really helping those that need it the most. That really to stop the trend that's happening with those adults early. So there is nothing wrong with giving value, but number one, you need to figure out what you're worth. If you're always discounting or I'm going to say somebody that does hair, just for instance, somebody that does hair, you don't have enough clients, you don't have enough leads. So you discounted everything and you're literally breaking your back, putting in all this labor just because you want that buck, because you got to buy or put some gas in your car at that moment. Like there are avenues, there is ways out of no ways. And you realize it when you hit your breaking point, because that breakthrough comes right after that breaking point. If something happens, your car breaks down for some reason, that's when you forgot that, oh yeah, there's Uber in the world. Oh yeah, this person lives next door. Oh, I got a bike. You start thinking about every other thing when your world changes around you. So when it comes to pricing, for me, so I partnered with the company. So we pretty much have prices. So I'm partnered with credit attorneys. So they write the disputes out. They really help my clients. And that's the biggest thing, is I want to make sure they have everything I can when it comes to budgeting, debt payoff, all that. I can give discounts. But the thing about it is you got to know what you are worth. You got to look at all the labor you're putting in. If you do want that time freedom, if you do want that time to really just have that money flowing, doing one thing once and letting it reoccur, you can't be giving yourself more than yourself, what you're even capable of doing, because you feel like you couldn't afford it then. There's people out there that need you. Yep. Like, I don't know what everybody in the room wants to do, but whatever you're doing, there is a need out there for it. So if you hear no once, or that person, no, let me say this. No can mean not right now. No can mean I don't have the money. And no can mean they really don't know they need you yet, just because of just ultimately education on what you do. But somebody out there needs you. There's 84 million families in America. So depending on what you even do, just imagine how many people are out there. You need to put yourself further out there than you even thought you could. And you're going to find those people that's going to pay.
Yeah. And again, it's all about, like you said, creating value. The big term I always use is perceived value. Uh-huh. The other thing I always say, and every entrepreneur has to answer, is that if people will pay it, why not charge it? If people will buy it, why not sell it? So if you can find something, like you said, that that people need, why not sell it? And if people will pay it, why not charge it? Don't undersell yourself, and then don't not sell something because you don't know about it. You can learn about it. Now, another thing that we've talked about a lot in here, what we're talking about right now, is competition, because obviously every business, I don't care what business you're in, you're going to have competition. People can always find a way to spend their money, either directly or indirectly, with another company or another area. So even if they aren't using someone that does what you do, they can still spend their money somewhere else. So how do you stay competitive in an extremely competitive market, being where you're located in Oklahoma?
So I'm actually really excited to answer this question. So number one, be you, and also be different. So I'm trying to think where I watched this video, and it was a video of, like, we know what hot yoga is, but there was once upon a time that hot yoga was not around, and someone wanted to do yoga, which was a competitive market, and all they did was turn up the heat. They turned up the heat, and what that do? That made them different. And they also told people that, oh, the reason why you couldn't get in this position is because the room wasn't hot enough. Wow. So what you're doing is you're solving problems. So when it comes to competitive market, the thing is there's multiple people doing what I'm doing, but the thing is, what is different from that person working with you? Because I could ultimately put people in the system. We could give out disputes. I actually do extra things. I have a finance quiz. I have people take just so they can see where they're at. And I tell them everything on the list I can help you with. But you got to speak up and tell me. I grab your hand and I walk with you, but you have to walk with me. But the thing is, even my social media, everything, I am myself. and I continue to be myself, because one thing, especially nowadays, millennials work with people. We could all sell toothbrushes, okay? And my toothbrush could be dirty and ugly, not cute. And I tell people to get rid of the plaque and all that stuff, but because they like me, or they want to do business with me, or they think I'm funny, they're gonna buy my toothbrush. So that's the thing, is really being different, but also like, always remember your why you're doing it, because a lot of people quit because of that. You know, they may stop because they're producing more and they're getting leads. But the thing is, always remember what you're doing it for. That why is very, very, very important, because that keeps you going. But then when it comes to the competitive market, just continue to go. Like, I feel like that's a big thing. People just stop. Don't stop. Just go be you and just be different.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And we actually, our speaker we had Thursday from Georgia talked about, he had, he was selling health drinks, and he has a Smoothie King right down the street. But he said, what I can do, I go extra. All the customers know me. I know their health needs. I remember what they want. And he said, I'm not only in the drink business, I'm in the relationship business. And even if you aren't offering, you yourself, you're not selling something tangible. So there's not a lot of packaging or things like that you could offer, but offering something extra that somebody else doesn't, that really doesn't cost you that much, that gives you the justification to charge more. And it's not like you're ripping somebody off. They're getting more for their money.
Right. Or even knowing names. Like, oh, hey, Susie, how's your daughter? Oh, did she graduate college? So it's people remember those small things. People remember. I mean, how do you feel when someone walks up to you and say your name and you thought they didn't even know who you were? It feels good. It feels good. So that's the thing, is I feel like stop looking at everything you do by the dollar. Stop looking at your success and how far you've gone by the dollar. At the end of the day, you still got to take care of yourself. I'm not saying that's not important, but the thing is, what value are you putting out in the world? What are you doing for the community? And then really, how are you sharing your information? Like I said, I don't know what everybody wants to do on this line, but if your neighbors don't know about you, what business do you have? If you're not tracking your business, you don't have a business. And I know that firsthand, because I was very bad at like writing everything down. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I was supposed to call somebody. Oh my gosh, this, we're really good at mastering money, but the problem is managing it. Like, too many people are out here trying to look rich today to be broke tomorrow. And that's, I mean, it looks good. It looks good. You post a picture, you got a little nice purse, a nice car. It looks good. But where's the fulfillment if you can't really take care of yourself?
Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't realize the amount of, the amount of work that goes into it. We're a rural community, and a lot of the community here is very interested in the trucking and shipping industry, which can be extremely lucrative. And I hear kids say, I'm just going to be an owner operator on my own truck. Okay. First of all, we're going to get the funding. Second, how are you going to get your own leads to be able to haul something? You can't just go knock on somebody's door and say, hey, I put the load in, we're headed to Chicago. There is the legwork that goes into having that relationship, even in any industry you're in, whether it's hair, whether it's trucking, whether it's the financial literacy, whether it's cars. No matter what it is, that relationship and that legwork has to be there.
Right. No, for sure. There's a statistic, I'm going to tell you this. So 64% of Americans are expected to retire with less than $10,000 in the retirement savings account. So I love looking at statistics. I'm very big on educating myself. And like I'm telling you guys, I'm being very transparent, because this wasn't me 2 years ago. I was very financial literate. And I feel like, because once again, I needed it, I digged and digged and digged. And once you start learning those statistics, you realize I don't want to be that. I don't want to be a part of that. And the statistics come from somewhere. There is too many people out here that no matter what you're doing, need you. But really, like, when it comes to, I know we talked about trucking business. So going back to credit, access, and funding, accessing your capital. So credit is very, very important. You need credit to buy a house. You need credit to buy a car. You need credit to get funded for your business. And then also, yes, business credit's amazing too, because I help with business credit as well. But the thing is your personal credit is what's being looked at first. And then let's say if you have the 3-digit number just to get that car. A lot of people don't look at interest rates. So to give you an example, let's say a $20,000 car, right? Someone with less than a 560 credit score buying it versus somebody with over a 740 credit score. So the interest rates are very drastic. At the end of the day, the person that had under 560 credit score will be paying more than $10,000 more than the person that had the higher credit score just because that 3-digit number. Yeah. So you just bought a car and a half. You understand me? So when it comes to these things, like it's very, very, very important in everything you do. Credit's important and money is important because just as fast as money comes, it goes. Yeah. Like it feels good when it's flowing. But what happens when that flow is not as rapid?
Yeah, and one thing, I had another guest in another class one time say the system is set up on the Black community never educating themselves, and says the more that the Black community doesn't make themselves educated in financial issues, the more they're going to fail, and the system is depending on that.
Yeah, and it's more like I'm very big on educating people on what the world is blinding them to. So know this, without blaming the world, there is a winner and a loser to everything. So even with the banking systems are rich because people in their overdraft fees. So if people are not having overdraft, without the overdraft fees, the banks are going to have issues with money. So the thing is let's stop looking too much at blaming. That's my biggest thing, is stop looking at too much of blaming and figuring it out. You don't know what you don't know. Stop looking at how. Stop looking at how am I going to get rich? How am I going to do this? And look at who, because there's people out there that actually has these answers for you. You just got to speak up. There's no stupid question. There's no wrong question. If you don't know, you don't know. And if somebody else doesn't want to answer that question for you, there's somebody else that will. So when it comes to us as a community as a whole, the thing is you got to look at history. If you really look at history, this is how it was. We are on this call. We are in school. We can read. We can talk. We can write. The thing is, there was a moment they couldn't. And it's because the world was not showing these things. So when you say the way the system is, it's because of that. But look how far we came. So even when it comes to your parents and what you do, I don't care who agrees or don't agree with what you want to do. Your vision is your vision. And right now, my mom and my dad's ceiling will be my floor. So that's how we got to look at it. If you go back in the day and what they were not taught, you don't want to be there. So let's get where we need to be. Absolutely. And speak up. That's number one, speak up. Because if you don't ask questions, the person that asks the most questions in the class, they're the ones learning the most. Keep on raising your hand.
Now, and before I get to the students' questions, I know you talked briefly about what inspired you to get into entrepreneurship, because I have 11 years in the restaurant industry myself, so I know exactly how it is with the schedule. It's absolutely, I miss the money, but I don't miss the time. But what inspired, because you said you wanted time to deal with your family and all that, which is a great reason, but what inspired you to get into this business specifically? Because obviously there's other things you could have gotten into.
So once again, the main thing is when I was working that job, it was a nice job, like good money. We hear the word good money all the time. It was good money. But one thing you need to ask yourself when you're somewhere is, do you want more? And if you want more, can that ceiling open up? And I realized I was in a place where my ceiling was not going to open up. So it's either stay there and settle or move. And so I already felt like I didn't have a life. I'm going to go back to, I'm young. I like to hang out with my friends. I like to eat. I like to go see my mom, shop and all that stuff. But I did not have the time. I didn't. And it just felt like, I don't even have kids, guys. Like, it's really, I'm in the best position, like, to be anything I want to be faster. But it was the fact of the matter is I did not feel like I had a life. I was not living. I was just existing. And so when it comes to credit, I have a mentor. So I will continue to say this. You learn from two things: mentorship and mistakes. And I had a mentor that presented an opportunity to me. She told me about credit, just like it's a lucrative business and all that stuff. And I knew I wanted to buy a house. So it's crazy. I knew my credit wasn't right. Like, okay, let me just learn about this so I can get myself together. And in the midst of that, it's just my mom's health just was not doing the best. And then unfortunately, I don't feel like I was being treated fairly at work. And I feel like a lot of times we are okay with things because we're getting paid enough.
Yeah.
And I felt like every time I was not okay with anything, anytime I wanted to leave, I just got higher salary. And but that doesn't mean it's okay. So I end up leaving. And this business, like I was doing credit repair just on the side. I just wanted an extra $500 a week. So it was just something that was on the side, but ultimately on the side, I wasn't really doing it too much. I was more so just educating myself because I needed it. And then once I left my job, it was like, oh, I have to make this work. I have to. And the thing is people that are going to support you are going to be strangers first.
Yeah.
And it's because, remember, I told you I was very financial illiterate. When I tell you I needed it, I needed it. So friends, families, they're not going to trust you with their finances. They're not going to trust you with credit. You know, they're like, how do you know this? But the thing is that didn't stop me. Most people stop after 5 no's, because if we told you to do something today and we needed 5 people to help you out, who you gonna ask? Your mom, your dad, your best friend, your sister, your cousin. You're gonna ask the people you love the most. So if they say no, what are you doing? You get discouraged because why would a stranger work with me? When honestly, most businesses thrive off of strangers first.
Yep.
And so when I got in this route, it was just what really did it for me was I start looking at myself, and I start looking, like, right when I started, I just started like looking at my finances, knowing how to pay off debt, budgeting, different things like that. My points jumped up literally 40 points within a month. I'm like, okay, I'm doing something right. You know, so once I actually implemented myself in it and started learning it, I'm like, this is something we all need. And when it comes to jobs and everything I wanted to do, I knew I wanted to help people. That's why I wanted to be an occupational therapist. You know, when I was going through my internship, my mom had a stroke. I was learning everything to help her. So I was very big on helping people. But any field you want to be in, think about first, why do you want to do it? Because that why could really be multiple fields instead of just one job. So when I realized that I needed this, when I started talking to kids and just fun ways to play with them to teach this, I felt fulfilled, and I knew I was in the right place. Awesome. I knew I was in the right place.
That's awesome. Well, I do have some questions from the students, and all these are
all right.
And all these are pretty good. So all seniors. This is Justin Clerk.
Mm-hmm.
Ask, when you created your business, what was the most important thing you had to consider before you created it?
So when it comes to, you say that one more time. You said with creating a business, what was the most important thing?
With creating your business, what was the most important thing you had to consider when creating it?
So one thing about my business is I was already given a platform. So with my business, like I said, I partnered with credit attorneys that were already doing it. They were very credible. 2,000 items removed off people's credit reports. So ultimately, when it comes to creating my platform, it was, if I was going to partner with somebody, I need to partner with somebody that is credible, number one. And I had to make sure people are results driven, and I had to make sure people are actually getting what they're needing out the process. But number one is really getting your mind right. I'm going to tell you guys, when it comes to any business, if you are not working on yourself, if you're not working on personal development, at the end, it's going to be hard. So when it comes to creating it as a whole, I just wanted to make sure that that I don't want to say I was ready, but I wanted to make sure that I knew that failure was going to come. Yep. So when things happen, it was no stopping. We always think of the best when we create things, like, oh, make these t-shirts, I'm gonna sell this much. But I thought of the negative things too. So when they came, nothing was stopping me.
Always have contingency plans. This is Shania Charleston, and she asked, how long does it usually take to see an improvement in someone's credit score?
Okay, so think about it like this. Your credit is pretty much a report card. So everybody's DNA, let's just say DNA is different. So when it comes to the education, the lack of education we got, I'm gonna give you collections, for instance. A lot of people don't know it's not smart to dispute it online because there's no paper trail. So somebody disputing online, when we actually do the paper form, sometimes it could be a little bit more challenging of getting those items removed as quick. Now, there is a lot of legalities behind credit. So like if you partner with the person legally, they could dispute everything at once. But a third party that do it themselves only dispute a few items a month. So as fast as 30 to 45 days, because the creditors have 30 to 45 days to respond to you. So once again, that doesn't mean that's just always a boost of points, because it does take time. But once we send out a letter, the creditors legally have 30 to 45 days to respond to the client. And after that response happened, if they messed up in any way, and when I say any way, I'm gonna say statistics when it comes to Oklahoma. So there's 79% of credit errors on people's credit score in Oklahoma. 79%. And you can literally look at this up in your state. A lot of people don't know that they have an advantage. And the reason why is they're taking advantage of what we don't know. So it's simple as an error. Let's say your name was spelled wrong, your address, or you're a junior. If they put something on your credit score and they did not know it was yours, it should have never went there. Should have been a question first. But ultimately, those things go on first. So if they do things wrong, those are things they have to remove, like legally. So we are going by consumer laws and going by the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So normally by 30 days, people will start, most will, if they have negative stuff that are erroneous or, incorrect. But the thing is my clients, I tell them, stay on 4 to 6 months so they can have the best results, because it is a process. So not everybody's at that point. So I'm not telling you like 30 days, this don't happen. Not everybody's at that point, because it's your DNA, your report card. But normally 4 to 6 months. And it's because like, you really have to listen to the coach. We can play the game, but I'm coaching you. Let's go.
Yeah. This is Amarion Bolden, and he asked, have you ever had a customer with credit so bad you had second thoughts about taking them as a client?
I won't say so bad. I would say, well, let me answer that first. So honestly, if it's bad, that means there's room for improvement. Honestly, if there's anything wrong, credit bad, or they just don't have credit at all, that means there's room for improvement. So you are actually the person I want to help the most. Someone with a higher credit score, I still want to help you. At that point, I'm probably teaching you how to build it and maintain it. But someone with really bad credit, oh, I'm working with you. What I would say the challenge is people working with you too. So I'll tell people what I can do for you, and I'll tell you what's hurting your credit. So for instance, credit cards, when you max those out, anytime you go over 30%, it's pulling your credit down. Anytime you go over 30. But a lot of people don't know that. So if you got maxed out credit cards and I'm helping you, don't think your points are going to move. You may be getting things maybe, disputed as paid or disputed to be removed, whatever, whatever the goal is, that may be happening. But if you're not fixing this right here, nothing's going to change. So if I have a client, because I have had a client before that didn't want to move at all. Like I said, I'm gonna grab your hand, but you gotta walk with me. At this point, I'm very open and I'm very honest. And I'll tell them, like, if we can't make any movement or any adjustments, if you're not willing for me to help you, you may not just want the help. So let's just end this relationship here. And when you're ready, we could get back started.
I just got one more from the students. This is Octavia Johnson. And she asked, what do you think makes your business stand out the most from others?
So when it comes to credit repair, we're more than that. So the thing is, credit repair is not just disputing things. Credit repair is not just here's your number, let's get it up. It's more than that. Like I said, people's credit cards are being maxed out, and I want to let you guys know we're in the season that people normally accrue debt more, because what are we going into? Holidays. Everybody wants gifts, and if somebody can't afford it, what they're going to do? Swipe their credit card. So we talk about debt. So I help people to pay off their debt. I'm talking about budgeting. I talked about will, trust, and will, trust, and power of attorney. So a trust can cost you thousands of dollars to get, but with our services, you get it complimentary. And so 2 things with a will and trust and power of attorney. With anybody with kids, a lot of people don't realize if you do not have this in place, then what happens is your kids go to state first. And I'm not saying kids won't eventually go to grandma's house, but your kids go to state first.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you don't want to be that family. You do not want to be that family that when someone passes away, everybody's fighting over a house or fighting over these different things. So we talk about finances as a whole, because all these things matter in our life, not just credit to buy that car, that house, like budgeting, managing your money. And this is for your business as well, and then ultimately, remember I told you about giving value to kids. So we have a nonprofit, Youth Financial Literacy Foundation. So what we do is we put workbooks in schools to teach kids financial literacy. And we also give scholarships every single year to kids. So the thing is we are more than credit. I'm here to help, restore, build, and protect your finances. And on top of that, working with me, I am someone that will always be there. I'm accountable. I hold you accountable. So that's the biggest thing. That's really the difference with working with me, is because everything we have all the tools to help you reach your financial goals. And then I will be there to walk with you every step of the way.
That's awesome. Well, we're almost out of time. And I thank you so much for joining us. This is just such great information and such a great story that I enjoyed hearing myself. It's really always great to hear Black business owners that have overcome so many crazy things, and especially getting, quitting a job cold turkey is amazing. That is so rare in the entrepreneurial world. But what is the main thing that you want these young people to know that are even considering going into business for themselves? Why is it that the world needs them as Black business owners?
Number one, you know what you want. You know that you have this vision. Why not attack it? And when it comes to entrepreneurship, once again, it is not the easiest thing. It's not. So it's harder to find a 6-figure job than it is to build a 6-figure business. Always remember that, because all that time, that stress you feel like you have when you're making however much you're making, just imagine how much time and stress you would have if you was making 6 figures on a job that controlled your movements. So put that work into your business. I had to tell myself when I started my business, when I wake up, I'm waking up and I'm going. Because a job, if I wake up, if I'm tired and I don't go to work, if I don't get up, I'm gonna lose my job. Versus since I'm my own entrepreneur, if I don't want to get up, who gonna fire me? I'm the boss. But listen, but you can't always have that mindset, because you gotta work your business as if it's a job.
Yeah.
You have to. You gotta sit here and think of daily methods of operations, DMO, your daily method of operations, and also your IPAs, your income producing activities. Yeah. You have to daily. And everything after that is going to come into place. It's going to come into place, but just do it. And especially with the world needs more Black entrepreneurs, because there's just people not doing. Everybody feels like they need somebody to move forward. Everybody feels like they need, and I'm not saying the money isn't great, but everybody feels like they can't do because they don't have the money in the bank account right now. Like I said, I left my job. I did this on a whole nother route, and it was hard. It really was hard. But you get real innovative and you start realizing there's a lot of things out here for free that really help you. It really is. So just don't sit here and think of how I cannot do it, and figure out how you can. because people out here need you and they want to hear your voice. So just be there for yourself. Number one, be there for yourself. And I am proud of you guys. I love this class that you're doing for these inspired entrepreneurs. I love it. I love it. I love it. But I want to let you guys know, don't just continue to move forward, move. Stop having all these ideas in your head and not actually acting on it. Stop, because people out here need you. I need you. I want to know what y'all are doing.
Yeah, and they've all had original business concepts they've created for the class. So,
Yeah.
and we've had students in the past in this class actually go into business, even part time. So we have a couple, and we have one selling accessories and lashes. We have another one that's in the hair business that she started and then went and got this cosmetology certificate, and now she's doing her own thing. So we've had some come out of here. Yeah, another one she just said, I'm on my way there too. So that's what she wants as well. So.
Yes, girl, you are there. You are there. Look, you are there.
Now, and like I said, we're almost out of time. And thank you so much for joining us. Deprecia Sutter, Oklahoma City. Now, tell us where to find you online.
So you can go to Facebook, Deprecia Sutter, Deprecia, last name Sutter, Sutter. You also can go to Instagram, Preview to Wealth. I want you guys to know that PREVIEWTO Wealth. That is me. That's my tagline. If you guys need anything when it comes to finances, I'm your girl if it has to do with money and credit. So if you have any questions, I'm here. Contact me. Students as well, I am here. I'm here to help, and I'm really trying to show the world what the world is blinding them to. We're going to be on the winning side.
Awesome. Love to see it. Love to hear it. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to join us today.
Thank you. Thank you. Talk soon.
I will talk to you soon, my friend.